I found this quote the other day by James A. Michener that kind of shook me. It's pretty incredible, so I wanted to share it. The master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing. To him, he's always doing both. The reason why that appealed to me so much is because that is exactly the kind of life that I want to live. Um, and I think, and I think as a society, and especially as a generation in Gen Z, the idea of pursuing excellence and what that really looks like has kind of been lost. I just filmed a whole video about distraction and focus that will kind of be out soon. That's a bigger video. But I just want to sit down and film this because I see where this generation is going. And I see the rise in depression, in anxiety, in aimlessness, in this feeling of being lost, useless, of no progress and being stagnant, that there's such a distinction between work and play and labor and leisure, and there's this path that is defined by society that is made out to seem that it is the only way to separate these things. And to be the type of person that this quote just described is sort of impossible. And at least for people like me, that is awfully discouraging. And it is incredibly depressing, because for me, I want to live life to the fullest. I just want to enjoy life, and whatever that means, I've been trying to figure out that out for years and years, but whatever that means, that's what I want to do. And to me, this quote is sort of the blueprint to kind of living that type of life that I want to live. Because I don't know about you, but that sounds like the dream. But the question is, how do we get there? And again, I just filmed this whole video on distraction and focus, and I think a huge thing is being intentional with our time and intentional with what we focus on, what we do. There's these distractions that I kind of outlined in that video, like social media, porn, and video games, that kind of destroy our mind and keep us in this pit, in this loop of desperation and despair, that are keeping us from living this type of life. Because when you're indulged in this, you can't perform at that type of level. You are only performing at this level where you only have the power and the attention span and the focus to do pretty much what is just outlined by society, because it takes no effort, no brain power to figure out what that is. Does that make sense? It's so outlined that it's just easy to follow. So when you don't have energy to break away from that, to pursue things that are different, to try to experiment with your life and truly pursue excellence, and figure out how to live this kind of life that this man just outlined. When you don't have that energy, you're just on this path and you're just going with the flow. And I think just going with the flow, destroys a lot of people's lives. As easy as it is, as comfortable as it is, and especially men, we're not built to pursue comfort in everything we do. I think that's what leads to depression and anxiety, this sense of complete despair and loneliness and purposelessness. So how do we become that person? How do we live that life? I mean, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think just in the pursuit of figuring that out, over the past few years, I've already seen my life completely change, and just in that pursuit, I'm growing closer to becoming that kind of person. I'm growing closer to living that type of life, and I think you can too. The pursuit in your vision of excellence in whatever you do, I think that alone gets you closer and closer to this. I mean, that's probably all it is, but I think as a society, and especially as a generation, we've lost that pursuit of excellence. Again, why? Distractions. These drugs to our brain that melt it in a way that leaves nothing left for us to do really anything. Leaves no energy left, no brain power, no idea to live differently than what is laid out for us. And again, that idea of just doing what we are told and doing what is laid out by society, by these elite people who want to control you, that's horrible. To me, that's a horrible feeling. That is a feeling that I do not want at all. And I just think working towards forging a different path, figuring out what it means for you to have no separation between work and play, labor and leisure, mind and body, information and recreation. That sounds like enjoying life. That sounds living life to the fullest. And I know it's possible. I know 100% it's possible. But I think it's becoming increasingly harder and harder to do with all these distractions, with all these things pulling us away from that, pulling us into a state of vulnerability, in a state where we are easily controlled and where there's no energy left to really do anything other than what we're told. That's where I see our society going, and I think it's horrible. I think we need a movement of people who are willing to pursue excellence in whatever we do, no matter how hard it is. So like this video if you agree, subscribe if you want to come on this journey of discovering exactly what that is with me. And let me know down in the comments like what you think about this. If you have any ideas of what we can do as a generation or just individually to get to that point. Because I think, imagine if enough of us can get to this point of which James A. Michener is describing, how different our world is going to be. To me, that's inspiring. To me, that is encouraging. So let me know down below what you think. I just wanted to sit down and record this video real quick because I think that quote is just incredible. So yeah.